Welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Hassan, and that is Dylan. And today we're going to talk about Ms. Marvel Episode 5. If you're first time here, we don't normally recap the episode. We just kind of go over what we liked and disliked. The assumption is you probably watched the episode. We'll try to go beginning, middle to end, but it never works that way. So overall, I actually really enjoyed this episode, and I'm not going to lie, I don't really know why. I think it was just the performances. They did really good. I enjoyed it. It was a great piece of history that they were showing and in here, and I liked that, and I liked seeing all of the stuff that was going on, and I liked seeing Kamala and how she interacted with everything. It was great, and I really did enjoy it. And I got to the end of it, and I'm like, and I literally watched this 3 hours ago. I watched it this morning. I'm like, I don't really know what happened to the overall plot. Like, this episode is great. Yeah, I was like, but the episode is great, but what happened? Because it feels like the show's over. How many episodes are left? And there's one. There's one episode.
I watched both of these back to back because I missed last week because I was out of town. So I watched them both sandwiched together last night. And I'm left on a note of like, oh my God, some of this stuff, I love it so much. The villains in this and the acting from said villains. Dude, it's like they're in The Wiggles. Like, I don't understand how I've never seen somebody act this poorly. But also, like, I feel like maybe they went to Pakistan or wherever they were filming. Maybe they actually went there and they got extras from over there, because some of these people, literally, her female cousin or whatever, every line she delivers is absurd. That said, my sister's name is Sana. My name is Hassan. So I cannot stress how weird it was to watch.
I was wondering how that would be for you.
Literally hearing my name perfectly pronounced and my sister's name perfectly pronounced, just back and forth. And the fact that they're like Sana and Hassan, Hassan's the dad, Sana's the baby, it was very, very jarring for me. I hung out with her for the first time in weeks last night. I got dinner with my sister, and then I came home and watched that, and I was like, what is this? This is so weird. But it's jarring to hear my name perfectly pronounced in media.
Apparently it's spelled different though. It's one.
Yeah,
S,
Hassan.
So.
Yeah.
I like this show overall, but of all the episodes to kind of pull out, Dylan, if you were to do your edit again, I feel
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, this one and the third one could be yanked out. It's proving once again that they're just stretching out a movie. Fourth one, yeah. But and once again, I enjoyed this, and I like seeing different sides of the world. I've been around the world, and I'm not trying to brag or tote. I've been there for the army, and I've been there for travels, and I like seeing other cultures, and I liked seeing that. It's one of the things I enjoy about Ms. Marvel the most, and this has the most of another culture in this episode.
Yeah.
But again, nothing really happened. She got the I think it's Sana is the name of the kid, right? Because the names are throwing me off.
Sana.
Sana.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to pronounce them. Give me credit.
Dude. I literally just corrected. I wasn't
Sana.
Betty doesn't know how to pronounce this.
Get
out of here. Me and Dylan will review the rest.
Because she got Sana to the dad and then went back to the normal time period and convinced the evil villain to go with her son. And it's okay.
The dialogue was weird in that.
Yeah.
It's so weird too, because she's the villain, the main villain lady is I don't even remember what she said. It's I can't go back to Kamran. I left him behind. And then it's almost like Iman Vellani, out of character, was well, then go back and get him. What do you mean? It's just awful dialogue.
She hadn't even gone through the portal yet. I left him behind. He's right there.
Well, then she said she abandoned her. She's I left him behind. I'm the villain. Go back and get him. I'm the good guy. I know how to stop this. I got to leave him behind.
Right.
Bro, what?
Huh?
I in the other parts of the story, up until Aisha's doing the whole weird death thing and she's talking to Kamala, it was very good. That whole background area, everything that was going on with the partition, how the Muslim family was being treated, a lot of that was resonant. It was accurate. It was beautifully told. And then she has this dialogue where Kamala walks up to her and she's like, "Oh, Sana, it's you." And she's like, "No, I'm not." And she goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." And then she asked her, bro, it didn't make any sense. I lost it.
It's you planned for a time loop. Huh?
Looking at this show as a whole, one of my biggest complaints, and it is really amplified in this episode, I don't know what the clandestine is trying to do. They're we got locked out of this world and we're trying to get back, and I'm
they're trying to go home, but also I don't know if this is if they want to, because it's so weird, right? It's it's clear that Aisha is staying. She doesn't want to go home because she found tethers to this world. Cool. But But then the Red Dagger people said, like, if they do successfully go home, then Earth will, like, be destroyed or whatever. Their dimension will take over ours. But I don't know if they know that. It like, kind of seems like they do because it's, like, super vindictive. But then...
Like, the show...
the evil guy.
Miss Marvel as a whole... Miss Marvel as a whole started great with episodes 1 and 2, and they're doing a really good job with certain aspects of the show.
The first 3 were great.
But the Marvel plot that is going on in here...
it's awful.
It doesn't know what it wants to be. You know, a villain that we can relate to? Is it just a end of the world plot? Is it her trying to become a hero? Like, they're doing everything but the Marvel stuff good.
It was a good sitcom. Sort of. It was a good like coming of age, like character growth, like high school comedy. And then they were like, oh, also damage control and weird alien people. It's like, no, that's not what we want.
It's also like, so Kamala follows the guy with and this might have been the episode before, but I'm just going to touch on this. He follows the guy to their little hideout, and then he shows them all, somehow they have like cool high-tech stuff. The dialogue of those scenes is insane. None of it makes sense. He's like, rushed. I'm the guy. I knew your mom. Now, and then all of a sudden, you've grown so well. Like, the next scene you see them, she didn't actually train. She didn't do anything, but they act like we missed a train. I feel like stuff was cut. Like, a lot of stuff was cut here.
Which is weird, because it also feels like there's too much. Like, it was like that is the last episode, and that's something I said last week. But like that stuff. Where, like, in an episode last week where nothing really happened and there's, like, this training sequence that gets glazed over. Like, why didn't they focus on that? They focused on the weirdest things in that episode.
No, and they're touching on, like, ABCDs, right? What is it? American born, desi confused. That's, like, a very common derogatory thing to say that only fresh off the boat people say to other Pakistani people. It's very aggressive. But they touch on it, right? But they don't lean into it, right? You have Kamala coming to Karachi. You're not going to lean into the fact that, okay, it's jarring to be in this culture and still be Pakistani, but not be from Pakistan because that's jarring. But then you have her at the end being like, I've never eaten biryani out of a bag, which, by the way, biryani is so good. And as soon as, like, I'm wrapped with this stuff, I'm going to eat it because I watched that episode. It's like my favorite food I grew up eating. It's like spicy rice with meat. It is incredible. Oh my God. If it's done well, it's so good. But she's like eating, you know, the biryani out of the little bag. And it's like, I feel like something is missing here. Like, there had to be chunks of scenes that were cut and then reshoots that sucked. That's what made it look like this. Because I feel like maybe they leaned too far into, like, Pakistani. Like, because the scenes they set up, in my brain, I'm like, they set up, like, a very clear Pakistani story arc that somebody disapproved of. So they went back and they cut the fat. And then they added scenes to make stuff make sense. That's like, how it felt while I was watching it.
I think my theory on what happened is the first 3 episodes of the show... So I'm assuming what happened is they got approved for a specific budget for 6 episodes. And somebody somewhere said front load the first 3 because this is a show we're not expecting to perform well. So we don't want episode 1 to be not great and hope that we get people with the whole series. We need them to be hooked on the first episode so that at least people critically like it. And that's what happened. And then episode 3, like, all look great and are visually great and are pretty well thought out, jam-packed with scenes from different sets all over the place. And then we get to episode 4 and nothing really happens, and there's a lot less, like, sets, a lot less stuff going on. And then episode 5, it's almost a bottle episode where, like, half of it takes place in, like, one, like, zone.
I want to see the flashback sequence is literally half the show. When they shifted back to Kamala, I clicked because I was watching it on the tablet right in front of me, and I clicked it. It was literally the midpoint, and I was like, "Oh, they spent half of this on this other story." Okay,
but like by the time you get to the end of episode 5, and this is again, they're probably saving their budget for 6 so that they can have the big finale that looks good. By the time you get to the end of episode 5, you see like CG skeletons that a 4-year-old made. And then Kamala is like jumping using her powers off camera with sound effects because they just couldn't shoot that. Like, they just didn't have money to shoot that. Right. And I think that's why, like, the 4 and 5, they needed 6 episodes. They only had budget for 4. So how do we make 2 episodes out of nothing? And that's, I think, why we got these 2.
I've very much been against Dylan's anger towards not against it, but, like, Dylan doesn't like Marvel's corporation, like the overarching narrative ruining stories. I loved it. Now I'm like, the cracks are showing and I'm getting a little bit frustrated because, like, this show is
It
the
always
first,
comes
like,
sometimes.
It was like this show was the first Disney Plus show to have like an identity, like a body. Like maybe Loki, if you're splitting hairs, had like good parts to it too. And then they just did all of this, and they're talking about like. I wish someone wrote down what it was supposed to be, because none of, like, you look at the bad guy crew, right? You have guy who laughs a lot, like the white guy basically on the crew, right?
Yeah.
Who's like evil, like he's like he's playing a supervillain. He's like trying to kill people, and then you have weird evil Asian, like Southeast Asian aunt who's like, I'm the good guy, but I'm the bad guy, and like she can't decide on a facial expression of what to do. I don't think they were given freaking direction. She's literally like scene to scene, because it's supposed to be this really jarring scene where she's meeting Aisha outside of like the family house, and it's, oh my god, she's evil, she's coming to kill her, and then they hug, and I'm like, no dude, this doesn't work, because this woman does this scene to scene, like it's just her demeanor is weird. The one who played Aisha was great. She's very subtle, very low key, up until she had like the most insane dialogue ever with Kamala. It makes no sense. Did it give like a really beautiful moment, like the Hassan and Sana holding each other? That sounds super weird. It sounds like I'm holding my sister, and I hate that. But Hassan holding his daughter.
I was thinking that, dude. I'm like, didn't he just say his sister's
no,
name?
it sucked. I hated saying it that way. But that was like a really beautiful moment. Like I teared up a little bit, because it is so sad. They just lost their mom, and it's like their whole family has to immigrate to another place because of the terrible stuff happening to their lives.
Right.
But show's so weird.
It's weird because of all. It's just gonna talk about this in general, because I feel like at this point we've kind of talked about episode 5. I feel like of all the shows, this one, like you said, Dylan, went for like, because even like the cool visual effects have all kind of lightened up. Like we're not even getting a lot of those anymore. They really did front load a lot of this, and I enjoy this show, and there's things I'm enjoying about it, but I don't know what the plot is anymore. I've never, Gordon Ramsay's got a great phrase that he says, you've lost the plot when you're making something and he doesn't know where it's going. And I feel like if Gordon was watching this, I feel like if Gordon is watching this at the beginning, why he'd be like, you've lost the plot. Like, where is it going?
The thing is like this show didn't have a plot, and it worked when it didn't. Like the version of the show that I like is the version where there's not a villain and there's not like a reason why characters are doing stuff. It's the relationships between the characters, Kamala finding her powers and living with that, and just seeing these characters grow for 6 episodes and bringing them to a point where Miss Marvel is a thing and she can go on to appear in movies. And we got that for 3 episodes, and now we don't. And I'm very sad about that, because this was my favorite Disney Plus show for 3 episodes. And
yeah, absolutely.
This is actually why I wanted to have a talk about Phase 4 in general, because I feel like so much of this isn't going anywhere, isn't interconnected, that Marvel's just kind of throwing things out there. And I get that they even said that in an interview. They did say, we're just trying tons of things.
Yeah,
but there is a point where it's like, you've been trying tons of things for like 2 years. Can we start to get something?
They're not. Like, that's been the narrative for a while. It's like, they're just trying different stuff. And like, that made sense back in Disney Plus, like the start of it, where it's like WandaVision is very different, then Falcon and Winter Soldier is kind of the same. Loki is like straddling that line between them. What If was very different. But like, now that we're looking back on it, like almost all of the Disney Plus shows have these same exact writing problems. And I know, Hassan, you haven't seen Thor yet, but like Doctor Strange and Thor also have a lot of the same problems.
Don't break like my heart like that. Dude, I can't even tell you what comes out after Thor. This was the only thing I wanted this year.
I think it's Black Panther. Like, I don't know.
I literally don't know. I met somebody who's in that. And
cool. If you look up MCU movies 2022, you get Morbius.
Nice.
Don't bring up Morbius with me.
It's Morbin time.
I'm tired of this. I'd rather watch the Minions than Morbius, okay?
The Rise of Groot.
We have Groot coming out in August 10th, She-Hulk in August 17th, Untitled Halloween special, then Black Panther.
Wait, there's 2 in August?
Groot?
Yeah.
Yeah, Groot's
got a cartoon. It's a kid's cartoon, yeah.
Okay, well, I will enjoy that then.
It's baby Groot too, so
I love that. That sounds fantastic.
is it out of
Better than
canon?
everything else.
That's
I
got to
just
be
hope-
out of canon.
it's
Or
just
it'll be
like-
one of those like, this is what Groot was doing between the movies.
I feel like
That's
the moment
fair.
What
I'll
If
take
came
that.
out with that whack art style, I started to be too kind to Marvel, and now I should
Yeah.
stop. Now I kind of hit my limit because I hated
That's
that. I thought
the
it looked
thing
stupid.
is like that because I think this is going to be the breaking point for a lot of people who have been really nice to Marvel is like they've gotten by for a while on shows that were like mediocre enough to where like if you have a really nice opinion on it, it can't really be argued with because it's like the show's fine overall. But now we have a show that was great for 3 episodes and then it stopped. It started to show.
The worst part
that
about
it's
Ms.
mediocre
Marvel is
again.
we thought it was great, but no one was watching it. It's like the lowest
No.
viewed show out of all of
No,
them.
and that one is for other reasons, but it's
Yeah.
very frustrating. A lot of the articles that tweeted about it, like the same comicbook.com, like the people who tweet about everything, they were so harsh on their coverage of the show. It was like anything positive, like Miss Marvel had the highest like minority Asian viewership of any of these shows. Like it was incredibly high. But the article was like, this is the lowest viewed show ever, except with da 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 da. At the end, it's like, why couldn't you just put that at the top? This is the highest viewed show amongst it because we feel represented and understood. And it's like they're always trying to push that spin
actually
narrative of a show like this.
good
can't succeed.
representation from Disney.
I
for
mean,
once.
that it's like that and Shang-Chi, and whenever they try to explore other cultures, I actually enjoy the movies and the shows more because I'm also kind of tired of just seeing the same
And that's
story over and over and over.
There's a problem too. It's like Shang-Chi out of the Phase 4 Marvel movies is actually pretty good. Like that's one of the better ones. And like
Yeah.
I forget about it constantly. Because
Well,
it,
I
like,
mentioned this last week, and this is part of what I want to talk about
had
with
an
Phase 4.
impact.
Black Widow came out in this phase, and no one remembers that was a thing.
that movie isn't
Dude,
great
that movie
though. So
sucked. That
Yeah.
movie is. It was just like Captain Marvel. That is a one-time viewership for me. I watched
yeah.
every MCU movie, including Thor: The Dark World, at least twice. At least twice. I have never seen that again, and I will never see that again. I had a bad time, which is weird because I love everything. I'm
That's
a big
how I
fan
am,
of
Hus. That's why we
everything.
get along so great.
Yes.
and I hate
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
That's why you and Sal get along great. So
But
And
the
this is how
comments
the
love
comments
Sal,
see
so they
us.
just go at Dylan. They leave Sal alone. They're like, Sal hates something. Ah, it's fine. It's just Sal. Dylan hates something. Dylan must
How
go.
dare you?
But look, Miss Marvel, I mean, seriously, has been. It was so good at the start. It was jarringly good because of the representation. I have not been in a culture in a decade, and now I'm getting to feel that culture on a screen. Like it felt wrong. It felt
from
insane because representation like that never really happens. It doesn't happen
No.
in media, and it felt jarring. And then they went on this really, really weird route where Jinn is like definitely something in like Muslim Pakistani culture you hear about, but it's not like this. And they made it, they caricaturized it, and then they made her a Jinn, and then they said,
But
well,
she's not a
if-
Jinn now. So
yeah,
it's
she's
fine.
not. If Thor landed in the Himalayas, then he would have been a Jinn too. It's just what
Let's
they're
not-
perceiving it.
Let's not expand on that at all, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which is like
confusing.
that was one of those moments where I kind of fell out of this being an MCU show for a while, and I think that's what made me it fell out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for me.
It's just like
and
a
I
good
think-
show.
Which, because I've always pitched that what would be one of the best things they ever do is just a sitcom that has nothing to do with superheroes but takes place in that world, a
Yeah.
world where heroes have existed and
Oh,
destroyed
you mean
cities.
Powerless?
Yeah, you mean the show that got canceled? Yeah.
That show's awful. I tried watching
Yeah,
it. It's so
it's
bad.
terrible.
Is it?
It
in the
got
MCU?
canceled for a reason.
No, it's a DC show.
Okay,
But
well that's
it stars
It's
Vanessa
not really
Hudgens.
though. It's like in the Vertigo line and stuff. It's not really DC. So.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
I mean
so,
they
like,
reference
in the
Superman.
You want
and
to know a
stuff.
great show? The DC sitcom where they were the company that was trying to work with superheroes. That was a
Yeah,
great
that's
show.
Powerless.
Oh,
That's
right.
what
I
I'm
like that
talking
one.
about.
I'm thinking
That show's
Powerless.
dog
I'm thinking Powers by Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah,
That show's
Powers is
terrible.
different.
Yeah, that was
Powers is
terrible.
also bad for different reasons. No, I was.
put
I just
power
think
in
that
your name. It'll be
think
bad.
about a family. I would love a drama or a sitcom about a family that pre-blip, post-blip, or during the blip and then after the blip, right? You have several episodes that leads up to the ramifications of all this because everyone got brought back to life except for the people that offed themselves after all their loved ones disappeared and the people who were on planes that pilots got blipped away.
Oh God.
Like,
No, we're not thinking about that, Huston. We don't
Disney.
overthink things. The deepest
not
we're going to
talking
go
about
into
that.
it is Sam Wilson has no money because his credit didn't exist and no one thought of a way to fix that. So,
dude, don't bring that
happened
up
to
with
that,
me. I
too?
forgot that. I forgot about that.
Like that was I don't know. That was kind of an interesting point in like phase
and
4. where
that
it's
got
like,
washed away. Yeah, I was like, that's
yeah,
actually
we just
interesting.
don't talk about it anymore.
Like, wait,
what
so no
about
one
Miss Marvel?
around is going to try and help Falcon, who got blipped away and then saved the universe. So, like, no one's
nothing's
going to...
happening anywhere.
Penny, his name is Captain America.
No,
Get it
at the
right.
time,
No,
he was Falcon.
but every time, if you're in any comment section and you ever call him Falcon,
I
the
know.
amount of hate that
His
you
name
get
is
immediately...
Captain Falcon.
Dude, I think there's something going around right now. It has Miss Marvel in it. It's like the Disney cruise ride has like a cutscene
Yeah,
with
we talked about this
Ant-Man,
last
Evangeline Lilly, Miss Marvel, Captain America, and Captain Marvel. They're all in it. And during it, someone calls him Captain Falcon, which is really funny. Like, I think maybe
yeah.
Ant-Man does it. But it's like actually all the actors, and you see Miss Marvel in her actual suit, which is upsetting because I saw it in a freaking cruise ride before I saw it on the show.
Anyway, just gonna say. By the way, yeah, she's listening to the outfit. We're kind of way off topic of Miss Marvel here, so we're gonna close out this
I
discussion.
gotta think
here.
about the outfit real quick. The lightning bolt is a reference to Captain Marvel. Why do they? Why do
It's
they
not
need?
anymore.
No, but like, why do they need to come up with another reason for why Miss Marvel does that?
You
If
see,
it's just a
Captain Marvel
reference
in
to
the
Carol
MCU
Danvers.
never had the classic suit, as Carol Danvers is a poorly written, not introduced character. So, I mean, there was literally like they didn't plant the seeds for the show. Like, they didn't do it properly. So, it doesn't,
necklace.
there's no Inhumans. There's no Captain Marvel isn't a hero on Earth. So, like, you can't
It's
the
weird.
background.
The more I think about it, it's a weird decision to do Miss Marvel without planting anything ahead of time, considering how much stuff is dependent on her origin. And then
they
to
showed us
flip,
that it could work for 3
Yeah.
episodes, and then they said, "Never mind."
never mind, we're not doing
Remember
that.
when? I just want to go back, and I don't think anybody like complained about this in the comics or in the comments, but in the first episode, when I was saying that I loved the show and was very surprised by the show, at the end of that, I ended that by saying, "Can't wait to see it go wrong." And I hated that I said that because I was like, "Damn, I'm really jaded about Marvel stuff these days."
But all right,
we
we're going
are.
to close out this review here. This has been Miss Marvel episode 5. I'm excited to see how they're going to end it, but I'm not holding out hope that all all the budget's in this last episode.
Front load, back load. Maybe they saved
Maybe
a little
so.
bit of money for the finale.
And then I'll
maybe,
cut this into a movie. Remove
Yeah.
4 and 5.
Are you kidding? They're trying to cut it into TikToks. Like, they're not trying to cut it into anything anymore. They need
Fair
they
enough.
need it to have this 9x16 cool moments. So
That's true.
You and your TikTok culture.
yeah, it is what it is.
See you next time.
See you next time.